Hey everybody, I'm Alex White. Today we are going to restring a Rickenbacker 330, which used to be something that I thought was really difficult. And after changing these strings thousands of times now, I am happy to give you a tour. So first we'll talk about the different parts of the guitar. Starting from the bottom, you've got this floating saddle here with the big Rickenbacker logo held in by tension. And moving up, boop-a-doop-a-doo, we've got the bridge here, 2 toaster pickups, because these pickups literally look like toasters with these little bread areas here. And moving up the neck, we get to the headstock of this Rick that's from the year 2000, and the tuning pegs, 6 of them obviously. And today we're going to change out these old strings for new strings. So here you see I already took off our A string, and using one of my favorite tools, which for guitar techs and even at-home guitar players, these are really nice to have. They make your job go a little faster, because who wants to spend all day spinning these tuning pegs when you got a tool for it? We're going to use these GHS strings. Thanks to GHS for always sending me these awesome Made in America, Made in Michigan strings. I like the 11 gauge on my Rick. People have different preferences. I find these to be very, very durable. I play 250 shows a year and very infrequently break a string on stage. So I like these a lot. And the other tool that I'm using today is this Leatherman. It's every guitarist's best friend, I feel. This one's spring-loaded, so it kind of saves my hands from frequent use. And there's a wire cutter right here in the middle. If you're breaking a string and you have to dig it out, the needle nose pliers on the edge of this is really handy for pulling out a broken string, whether it's stuck here, wherever it is. So we'll be using this. Our 2 tools, the Leatherman and this little spinny string changer that's from Eastwood Guitars. So here we're going to go ahead and remove the E, A, D string so we can kind of start fresh. So this is the old string that we're going to take off right here. So going up to this tuning peg here, I kind of have like a nice soft thing holding my guitar in place off the edge. I'm going to use this little cool tool, basically putting this little string winder, putting it right on the tuning peg, and I'm unwinding it. So this is going a lot faster than you use just, your bare hands. So we're already almost done. You'll know right away whether you're tightening or loosening your string. Okay, so I'm just kind of pulling the string out, right? It just came right out. You're not tying a knot, so you're able to undo this. And on the Rickenbacker, this whole thing is held together with tension, right? So I just kind of took this little edge of the string out of our little saddle down there. Yeah, I wonder if you can see it. But basically, this little string is just being held in there by sheer will. All right, so you can recycle these strings. I'm pretty sure they're metal. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I threw them in the recycling bin, so hopefully that's the case. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open up our package of strings here. There's 6 because it's a guitar. So when it's an 11 gauge set of strings, that means that the thinnest string, the high E, is 11. And that means that your thicker strings could be 46, 56. But when you get an 11 gauge, that means your thinnest string is the 11. So since we're replacing this, this thicker string here, we have to replace our A and the D. We're working in reverse. So our A is a 36 in this pack. All right, we are removing the string from the package. It's kind of like wound together. You just sort of see, and it comes out like that. You have to be careful because the edge of these strings is really sharp. So you can kind of like accidentally pierce your finger through your skin. You have to be careful. Maybe you want to wear gloves if you have sensitive hands. probably wouldn't be a bad idea. So this is what we do. This is the part that always kind of confused me when I was younger. Is like, what's the next step? You took the string out, right? The way that I do it, we're replacing the A, which is this string. I start by putting it through the bridge. So you're saying, okay, you've got this floppy end here, and you've got your floppy end here, right? You take this little convenient part here, and you have to stick it in the little empty space. And that just takes practice, but you kind of just want to stick it in there until you feel like, okay, it's in there. The little head, the little nub at the end of your string is caught inside of the saddle. Okay, so that's in there. We're happy. And keeping it at kind of this angle so that it stays in there, you want to make sure it's going through the A slot on your bridge. We're going up the neck. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. You're making sure that you've got the A string on the appropriate slot on your nut, which is number 2. Now you have to do what's almost like threading a needle if you've ever sewed in your life or helped your grandma or your mom sew. You stick the string through this hole. Okay, so you'll see here, you know, we've got our nut still stuck in there. We're going through the appropriate slot of your bridge, up the neck, into our nut. Now the important part is that you're kind of using tension. So I make a V shape. I just squeezed it. See this little V shape from squeezing your string? That's kind of like holding everything in place right now. So you're not tying a knot at the top, you're creating a tension for your neck. So you might want to get this shot of how to hold this whole system in place, right? Kind of a practice thing, I guess. But I'm holding it down with my pointer finger and I'm holding the rest up. You need all of this slack here because you're going to wind all of this slack that you see into all of these layers up here. So you'll see what happens. So we're using our string winder again because I don't have all day to be winding this by hand. So as you wind it, you feel, you've got that nice little fresh string sound. As you wind it, you feel the string tightening. So this is the part where you sometimes cut yourself. You're going to see this edge of this string like whip out. So you have to kind of be careful. So anyway, I'm winding it, I'm tightening it. As I'm doing that, I'm kind of like moving my finger up the fretboard, up the neck. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of stretching my string as I wind it, because that means that when you tune it and the first time you play it, it'll be nice and stretched out for your first show. All right, so I feel it like tightening up, and I want to make sure that it's on the correct slot inside of the bridge as I'm tightening it, because when you're tightening it, sometimes it kind of wants to move around a little bit, so you just want to confirm that. All right, that feels even tighter than I need it to be. So some people kind of do this, kind of tighten it. All right, so this is where our handy dandy Leatherman comes into play. We're gonna go ahead and cut this. I'm not trying to cut it super close to this tuning peg. I want a little bit of room just so I'm not. It's like a 1/4 inch, right? Dispose of that little thing. Some people kind of like, they'll take this and they'll kind of push it down so it doesn't get caught in your afro when you're playing. All right, recycle your little paper things. Don't throw these into the trash stream, recycle them. We'll do another one, might as well, since we're here, just to make sure that everybody's super clear. We're gonna go ahead and do D. So like we're saying, like 11 gauge, 11's your high E, so we're not there yet. Looks like our D is 26 gauge. Made in the USA, baby. And we've got our warning here, string may unwind when removed. We saw that happen, so remove it from here. We're removing it from the package, right? So we'll do it again. Because let's face it, you gotta do this 6 times, right? So might as well show you another time. I'm threading it through the bridge. That's kind of like my middle point. And I'm sure people do this differently around the world, but I've got it through my bridge. Stick the little nut in this saddle. It's nice and secure. I can't pull it out of there. I guide it up. I sew the needle at the top through this tuning peg. Yep. And as far as like how much slack you want to leave on your Rickenbacker, that's different because obviously this string is getting cut shorter than this one. There's like an inch difference, 1.5 inch difference or so. So you're going to see that the slack that you have at the top is going to be a little less than you would here. So I'm going to make my V shape at the top so that it catches. And let's say you don't have a string winder, so maybe I'll do it for you manually here. I've got my shape where I've got my pointer finger down. I've got my middle finger and my ring finger holding the slack. And this is what you would do if you don't have a little string winder. You're just tightening it. You have to kind of squeeze your little V shape to make sure that it stays in place. I'm just tightening the string. You got to move it. All right. Kind of moving this up so it doesn't get caught. People have different theories about how many winds they want on here. I just kind of eyeball it. You don't want so many that you're overlapping your strings on this. You just kind of wind it up. And you can feel when it's tight and it's in place. So that's the sound of the string getting tighter. I bet it looks cool looking up the Rick. You know, this is the guitar that Pete Townsend from The Who and Tom Petty. So again, I just snipped it about 1/2 inch away from the tuning peg, and I just kind of scooch it in there so it doesn't get caught on your lip or in your hair when you're rocking. So anyway, you know, rinse, lather, repeat, whatever. Now you know how to restring your Rickenbacker 330. Good luck, and check out the other videos on our YouTube channel. I'm Alex White. Thanks.